The clip you just watched is an older one that has been circulating online for quite some time. I recently came across it again on a Reddit thread, and along with it came the continuation, which YouTube won't allow me to show without heavy blur. The video shows a group of friends who took their off-road vehicles onto a forest road shortly after a long rainfall. As you can see, the soft ground caused the vehicles to get stuck in the mud. Even though they were off-road vehicles, sometimes that's simply not enough. The mistake the group made in this case was not using proper tow straps. Straps made from softer, slightly elastic materials designed for recovery situations. Instead, they used a chain with a hook, which snapped under tension. The force of that break sent it flying straight into the windshield of the vehicle behind them. Let's watch the footage again, and then we'll talk about the consequences it had. When I first saw this clip, some people were saying that there was no one in the driver's seat of the vehicle behind. However, the full version includes what happened next. If we go back to the exact moment when the chain snaps and comes straight through the windshield, you can immediately understand how powerful that impact was and what kind of consequences it could have on the person inside. Since I can't show much of what followed, I'll briefly explain. The person in that vehicle was left permanently disfigured. The chain came through the windshield and struck him directly in the face, specifically in the jaw area, nearly tearing it off completely. And that alone should give you an idea of the pain and the lasting damage it caused.
All right, guys, welcome back to another adventure. I'm sure you can tell right off the bat, this one's a little bit different. I was hiking recently, and I'm not gonna lie, I felt slightly disoriented, slightly lost. And it got me thinking, what's kind of like the minimum amount of gear that I would need in order to, survive the night out in the mountains and in the winter, right? So that's what we're gonna test out today. Just have a few things with me. We'll find a spot and show you guys what I got. But
as you've seen, Nick is passionate about spending time in nature. And from what I've noticed on his channel, he especially enjoys going out in the winter, partly because the air feels cleaner, but also because harsh weather pushes him to test his limits. In this particular video, though, something happens that completely changes his plans. Nick isn't a stranger to the dangers and the sounds of the wild, as he'll explain himself in just a moment. But what he experienced during this trip triggered that unmistakable feeling of imminent danger, the kind that makes the hair on your body stand on end. It's the same instinct that kept our ancestors alive, and the one that still protects us from threats that could turn deadly in a split second. I'll let Nick tell you more. Let's watch.
okay, yeah, so we've had a bit of a change of plans here. Little bits happened since the last clip. I'm currently driving as far as possible from that camping spot. I'm gonna pull over and I'll let you guys know what happened. All right, okay, so I'm probably 10 kilometers or maybe 5 kilometers or so from where I was camping. So any of you guys that go camping, spend a lot of time in the wilderness, or that have watched my videos for a while, you know all about sounds. Obviously in the mountains and stuff like that, there's all sorts of stuff that can make creepy noises, right? So and in most cases, a lot of the actually less creepier ones tend to sound the scariest. What I just heard, I don't know, guys. Holy, did it scare me. I heard this sound, and I'm not even kidding. It was like, or like literally just in the trees, not even that far from me. And I'm like, what was that?
It's worth mentioning that Nick does most of his outdoor trips in Alberta, Canada, which is also where he's originally from. I wanted to point that out because Alberta is known for its vast forests and, of course, its wildlife. What's interesting, though, is that despite all his experience, and as he explains himself, he claims he has never heard a sound like this before. Up next is the footage where he captured that sound. I've tried to enhance it and raise the volume during the exact moment he says it can be heard, in the hope that we can all catch what he described earlier. Let's take a look.
I'm out of here. I am out of here. What the heck is that? Yeah, no idea. So, let me know what you guys think.
Just like Nick said, I'm genuinely curious what you think, because I've replayed that sound over and over again, and I still can't decide whether it resembles a bird call or something more like a large feline. What really makes this intriguing, though, is his reaction. He didn't hesitate. He didn't try to investigate. He got into his vehicle immediately and created as much distance as possible between himself and whatever might have been out there. So I'll ask again, what do you think made that sound? Vlad, or better known online as Bia Heza, is a young influencer whose YouTube channel has grown to over 1 million subscribers. Most of his content revolves around different ways of making money, not by giving financial advice, but by documenting the wild experiments he tries and the process behind them. This time, though, it's not about that at all. In his latest project, Vlad decided he wanted to turn a small car into something he could actually camp in during the snow. So he got to work, modified the car himself, and once the build was complete, he headed out to find the perfect winter spot to spend the night. What he didn't expect was what would happen next. But before we get there, let's take a look at where Vlad plans to camp and how his night initially unfolds.
I even got one for the moonroof in case the ops are in creative mode. The only windows I won't be fully covering are these front ones, and that's because I'm gonna keep them slightly open. But I do have this mesh that I'll be putting over them, which will still offer some privacy and it'll keep the bugs out. Car's been off for about 20-30 minutes and it is getting pretty cold. So for my heating solution, I've purchased this Korean butane powered heating device that a lot of people on the internet recommended. It's actually like fully Korean. There's not a lick of English on here. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little sussed out with butane burning inside of a car, so I'm gonna use it sparingly and only when I'm awake. I brought this gas monitoring device. It should alert me if things get a little toxic in here. Now, to make sure I don't die from a fire, I did install a fire extinguisher in here. And then in case any ops or animals pull up, I did buy some bear spray. So I believe that covers the big three. But anyways, it's getting nice and toasty in here, so I think it's time for dinner.
As you saw in the footage, Vlad parked near a river in a spot deep enough in nature to feel isolated, but still close enough to the road. Something that would later turn out to be very important. After cooking his dinner, which honestly looked delicious, and enjoying the whole experience of preparing it inside the car, he lay back to relax and eventually fall asleep. But not long after he dozes off, he's suddenly woken up by a sound. And from here, I'll let you watch the absolutely shocking moment unfold.
Hey! Hello, who is this? Can I help you? Hey! What can I do for you?
Open the door!
How may I help you?
Open the door!
I'm not gonna be able to do that.
Hey, what are you doing?
After that terrifying experience, Vlad turns back toward home. Because what else can you really do when someone like that puts your life in danger? Your only instinct is to get out, to create distance, to escape. The next day, once he's home, he goes to the hospital to get his eyes checked. When the aggressive individual smashed the window, shards of glass flew straight into his face, some of them getting into his eyes. Thankfully, Vlad later confirmed that everything was okay. At the end of the video, he explains that the attacker had partially blocked him in with his car. But in that split second of extreme tension, Vlad managed to squeeze through a narrow gap between the vehicle and the snowbanks. You can see on screen a graphic recreation of the exact moment he escaped. As for the incident itself, I'm firmly convinced this wasn't staged for views. No one would risk permanent eye damage just for clicks. And beyond that, the panic in Vlad's eyes says more than anything else could. So my conclusion is that what we saw was real. What do you think? Lisa is an incredibly brave woman and the face behind the YouTube channel Keepin' It Wheel 306. She is a person with special needs, but that has never stopped her, not even for a second, from doing what she loves. Even in a wheelchair, she travels in her van, camps, and truly makes the most of what life has to offer. What makes her story even more inspiring is the fact that she does this full-time. She travels alone and has explored both Canada and the United States, driven by determination and a genuinely positive spirit. But in the moments that follow, we see Lisa experience a scare no van traveler ever wants to go through. She encounters one of the biggest fears people have when living on the road. Unfortunately, she didn't capture the actual moment on camera, but her reaction right after it happened is completely raw. She does, however, have proof, something she shows once the sun rises. Before we get to that, let's first watch her immediate reaction after the incident.
So it's just after midnight. I'm in my camper van and I just had the biggest fright I've had in 4 years of van life. I'd gone to sleep around 11 o'clock and I hadn't really fallen into deep sleep. And I heard this bang on the front of my vehicle. And then I could feel that my vehicle was being pushed. And I am just camping out on Crown land right along a river. There's farmland nearby, but I haven't seen anybody all day. I was also here yesterday and last night. And immediately I just thought, like, it's a Friday night. There's another vehicle had pulled in or something, and, you know, people were messing around, or maybe they thought the camper van was abandoned and were trying to break in or do something. But yeah, I heard this bang in my front end, and my van was being pushed. Like, I thought maybe then a bunch of people were just messing around, some teenagers or something, and rocking my van. So I yelled, "What are you doing?" Like, actually I said, "What the F are you doing?" Just to let them know there was somebody in the van. And then I didn't hear any, voices or anything. Didn't hear any footsteps, which was weird. But immediately, I was jolted awake. And then I didn't hear anything. And then all of a sudden, right at my back window, like right up here, I heard something too. Like, it was, swiping my vehicle or something. And I'm obviously freaked out at that moment. I grabbed my keys and I grabbed my cell phone and put the flashlight on and I pulled my window covering down, which was kind of silly, but I pulled the back window covering down to try to look out, but it was pitch black. But then I heard like another, it just hit to my vehicle. And so I put the window covering back up and I beeped my key fob to make like a little beep beep to, I don't know, just let them know there was somebody in here. And again, I heard another like hit. And so then I just started my vehicle. I put my Ford app on my phone. I started my vehicle. And I think that scared whatever was away. And so at that point, I think I started to realize, like, it was in the back of my mind, but I think at that point when I didn't see a vehicle or any people or anything, it started to sink in that it probably wasn't humans trying to get me, and it was probably an animal trying to get into my van. And now that I look around, yeah, there's definitely evidence that an animal was trying to break into my van. And I'm guessing it was a bear by the evidence left that I found this morning. Just right here. And you can see like a dirt paw right on my window there. I'm trying to look on the actual dirt. I imagine once I go out there, I'm going to see more evidence, but that was not there yesterday. Definitely not.
It's clear that Lisa wasn't scared for no reason. When you're alone, and especially in her position, the biggest fear that crosses your mind is that whatever is outside isn't an animal, but another person. So it's completely understandable why she did everything she could to scare it away. In a strange way, finding a paw print on the window the next morning was actually reassuring. When you're out in nature, it's normal for animals to pass through, to be curious, to investigate. In situations like this, a human is far more dangerous than wildlife. Lisa continued her day without further incidents or stress. In fact, she embraced everything nature and freedom had to offer, just like she always does. But after hearing her story, I'd really like to know, what do you think is the biggest danger when you're alone in the wilderness? Make sure to drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and share it with a friend who loves this kind of content. And if you're new here, consider subscribing. It's free, and it truly helps the channel grow, especially since more than 90% of viewers aren't subscribed yet. Also, tap the bell icon so YouTube actually notifies you whenever I upload something new.